Bitcoin chart. See what I like. These weeks, new things to look at. Let's look at my week chart. See what we got here. All right, so just kind of at a glance, very high time frame bullish. You can see we put in the higher high. Ah, we want to do there we go. Got our higher high week on a weekly base. Let's go ahead and take a look at the range that we could potentially be playing here. Got a lower high here, so that makes me very happy. Let me create some shortcut stuff. Mhm. Let's get that in there. And what the hell is the percentage calculator? Precision brush, text, icon. Keep going, keep going. Why do I always fucking do this to myself, man? There we go. Forecasting and measurement tools. Get that on there. Get that on there. Get that on there. We're good. Oh no. All right. So here we are on the Bitcoin weekly chart. Just kind of looking for general structure here. Um, looking. Don't mind the blue lines. That's ultra long term projections. Oh no. Oh, I thought I still had it there. Apparently I don't. But let's go ahead and use this new shortcut. There we go. Bitcoin projections right there. This particular deal here is very accurate. As everybody knows, we use trend lines. Um, basically, you need three touches to confirm the trend line. I have one, two, three, four, almost five complete touches. So with this right here, I should, in theory, be able to realize when there's a top, even if I'm ignoring the signs. So the last time we touched it was back in December, right? We touched it once, twice, in that fourth quarter in the first quarter of last year. So that's what I'm using. And then before that, last time we touched it was in the bull market of 2021, was the last half of the bull market. And then before that was in the spring of the bull market. And then I'm basically using all of my data going back to 2017. There wasn't enough coins, not enough volatility to really support anything above that. So instead, if I just kind of like were to do this little deal here, I mean, in theory, I could get this to go to the 2013 bull market, but it's not going to work. So now that I got my little things back, let's take a look and see what kind of volatility we have in store for us this week. So I'm going to shrink down from the weekly projections and then get straight into what I would expect. Oh, goddamn. Yesterday literally did, or the Monday close did absolutely nothing. It looks like, holy crap. Started and stopped as we started. Yo, what's happening, man? Hey, thanks for checking it out. Always just kind of like start off a little bit of banner, a little bit of bullshit to start everything off. Let's go ahead and clean up the Bitcoin chart for me real fast. Get away any preconceived notions. I got a couple hours before my wife gets home, so let's do the damn thing. All right, so the daily should give us a pretty good idea for the weekly. Let's go back to the weekly. Let's get some RCT concepts, yeah. Hmm, nothing. Oh shit. We're already at 108,000 again. Very nice. Alright, so I don't have any candles, so nothing to do with RCT. So let's just look at overall structure. Like I said, on the weekly, we just put in a higher high and a higher low. So with that in mind, things are in fact looking very bullish. Let's go ahead and get some trend line bullshit here. All right, let's fucking kill that. So used to charting everything out on my phone, so it's a little different doing it this way. It's still not completely keen on using the laptop for all this stuff, but it's just a matter of putting in the time, learning how to do it. Nope, not about trend line. Okay, yeah, no, okay, that works. It's not pretty, but it works. Okay, yeah, so I got my one, two, three touches of the trend line. So we have our established trend. And let's look at Bitcoin at a much lower time frame. We're going to look at it on the 4 hour. And basically, what we're going to be doing is it's time to hunt down some entries. I need to know if we're going higher, are we going lower? Do I need to set up for longs, or should I be setting up for shorts? So on the 4 hour, I guess I can make this just like full screen completely and go off my screen. Maximize panel. That was not what I thought it would do. The short panel. Minimize this panel. Got it. Already saved. No. And I'll open this on the screen. Fuck it. All right. So again, and basically what I'm really looking for is just I'm just looking at structure. That's all I care about is the structure. Patterns help, but structure is everything. So what I'm seeing here is we put in our low. This is back in April. We went high, put in a higher low, went high again, still technically up here, put in another higher low, lower high, but we have a higher low still. So what that tells me right now is that the market is very undecided, that there's no clear trend up or down at the moment, which can be good, but it can also be very bad. I mean, as long as we don't put in a low beyond this point here. So this is our do or die point right here, right there at 100,348. We lose that level, we go lower. But before we can even start looking at that level, we need to start addressing the elephant in the room. In order to even consider 100,000, we must lose. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Looking for big time support. Okay, so this is our new established Big Daddy support right here at 104,390. So in order for us to even talk about 100,000, we need to start dropping in layers. Um, the people that get fixated on, let's say, 98,000, I see that number being thrown around a lot. The people that focus on 98,000, typically they're so caught up in that they miss massive moves with Bitcoin because they've already made up their mind where price is going to be going rather than letting the chart dictate where things need to be going. So the reason why I use the 104,390, I know a lot of people are really big fans of 105. Sure, 105 used to be Big Daddy, but 104 is our do or die point. Because as you see, we had that nasty little dip. What was it, like a week ago or so? Yeah, on the 5th. Came down. I think that's when war started from the 5th. I'm not sure. Um, we took a nice little tumble. We hit that 100,000. We rejected from the 100,000. We reclaimed that 104. We went up, came up, came up, came up, came down, retested it, rejected, and here we are now. Let me do this too, because right now I am not trading anything until FOMC has been checked in, other than the coins that are blatantly obvious. Let me just take a look at something real quick. There we go. It's one of those things I take no pleasure looking for shorts. So right now I am sitting on my hands because I want to see one of two things happen. Either one, the bullish scenario, I want to see us climb higher, come up here, flip this into support here, and then range here. We touched that 115. I think that puts in our top for this portion of the cycle, and we chill out for the summer, right? So that's the bullish scenario. Bearish scenario is we pump and we pump and we pump, right? We hit that 110 again. Maybe we break through it a little bit, but immediately reject on the retest, and we drop down to range. And then if we reject off 110, I see us potentially tapping the 104.390 again. Reason why I think that's going to be very, very, very possible is these two wicks right here. So the wick right here at 102, 821, and the one right here at 100,000. There's a bunch of untapped liquidity still sitting there. Um, you know, uh, so I mean that definitely keeps things live in play. Forgive me if I'm dumbing this down too much, but you know, uh, I find it works best when trying to teach as well as to interpret for folks. So we got all that figured out there. Get off of that. Oh no, I want off of it. Oh god damn it. So that's what I would want to see. I'd want to see either a push to the 110, rise up, flip, and retest that support, and that'll give us our green light to go higher. Or I want to see us go up to 110 and then reject from 110 again. So if I was to short it, and then I would just take this trade right here. I would also err on the side of caution because shit be popping off sometimes. I would keep my stop really tight, and that's what I would play. Give you a nice little 4.23 R&R, or we do this. Like I said, the scenario where we break through, test, and flip. Doesn't give us the same R&R, but it does give us our new all-time high, which if Bitcoin pumps right now with the way that things are sitting, so will alts. So it doesn't give you the same R&R, but these are two pretty safe setups, only because there's not really an established mid-range here. So when playing the range, you always want to try to find it. This will probably be as good as anything for mid-range because you can see clear support resistance right here. So you can see where it rejected and then went higher. You can also see times where it hit and rejected and went substantially lower. So these are going to be like the ranges we're going to want to look for when it comes to Bitcoin. The reason why I always start off with Bitcoin is because of this little chart right here, the dominance chart. We're still very much in a Bitcoin season. As you can see, everything pushes higher. The Bitcoin dominance chart's looking very bullish, to the point where, oh shit, where I will pay a lot of attention to more of my dominance charts than I will actual like altcoin charts or Bitcoin charts themselves. Because, friend, I'll give you an idea there. Run that real quick. I know on the daily it gets much clearer. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna give us a nice little clean chart here. So I will literally nitpick everything. Oh, I don't want to listen to country music. Yay. No. Okay, good cover. And there we have it. So a trend line is effective until it isn't. So a big thing I like to look at. And right now, as you can see, had a nice little deviation right there. So as long as Bitcoin dominance continues to rise, I will be very cautious because the number I have picked out myself, and I know a lot of other analysts have, to really say when Bitcoin dominance will put in its top, is still quite a ways up. It's going to be around the 70% right there. Just kind of do that number real fast. And you can see we've actually come very close to that 70% mark on a few occasions. As a matter of fact, this one was really recent. Was it equal? I don't know. But 70 is still a number I keep in my head when looking at that Bitcoin dominance chart because the reason why Bitcoin dominance is important is because obviously, if you don't already know, um, what will essentially happen is Bitcoin will have a sneeze and drop $1,000, but meanwhile, your altcoins and your whole market will dump 5-10% on average with a one. Let me see. Holding some big place. So with dominance charts, Bitcoin's ultimately been in the market the longest. So because it's been in the market the longest, it is the standard. It is the father of every coin, of all coins. Um, when you see the bigger players buying, so like when you see strategy like buying 1,000 Bitcoin at a time, understand something. It doesn't affect the price because they're buying over the counter. If it affects the price in any such way, it is less than 1/100%. Because even though Bitcoin right now is trading at $108,000, they're not paying $108,000. They're negotiating their price. So realistically, if Bitcoin's 108,000, they might be paying 103,000. They might be paying 100,000, 98,000. Um, Me and Spunky Monkey, we had this chat, and he had actually did the research, and he found out Michael Saylor always buys the tops. That's when he's buying the most. But at the same time, though, his average buy is nowhere near $100,000. So we know this particular cycle in general, he's been a lot more public about his Bitcoin buying, and price has not been affected at all. So by buying over the counter or ETFs, for example, um, ETFs were sold off years ago, right? The actual Bitcoin itself was sold off a long time ago. So BlackRock and all these companies that have acquired it, they bought this last cycle. So basically what they're doing is if I were a brokerage firm or something like that, when I buy a Bitcoin ETF, I'm buying it from BlackRock, not from the liquidity pool of Bitcoins. So this whole the effect that it has in the market is true, but it's more of a psychology issue with things rather than a something that would affect your price, if that makes sense. Let's see. So it'd be no different. Like if I sold you, if I owned a Bitcoin and I sold you a Bitcoin, it's not going to affect the price of Bitcoin. It's a private sale. Let's see here. So now that we look at the dominance chart, we're still in an uptrend. Let's see. But we did put in a lower low on the 4 hour and a higher high. So again, there's that indecisiveness. But After that low, we put in a higher low. So I would expect dominance to show up to right around that 65% mark, 65, between there, 65 and 65.20, um, which will segue me nicely into this one. This is my favorite chart to watch. So where a lot of people mess up when looking at these charts is they play them as if they're independent. I always recommend people to play a dominance chart the way that you would play any if you were trading Bitcoin or trading your favorite altcoins, right? So you'll trend it the same, and it'll play by the rules. So let's see. Yeah, so USDT dominance is trending down on the 4 hour. We look at a higher time frame. Let's go to the 1 day. All right, so with this confluence, it more or less plays the same. So I would be safe to say that we're going to be seeing some pumps rather than dumps. So this is again why I tell people to look at pullback season rather than trying to short the market constantly. Um, that being said, though, got a little bit of a oxymoron here. So we got the higher low, but the lower high. Huh. Today in particular is what kind of gave us that lower high, unless, of course, we're doing something like this. So this just hasn't had enough time to play out. I don't think it does. Again, I know there are analysts out there who think that USDT dominance is about to rip. I would be inclined to agree because it would serve my best interest because I do have seen some, let me see, what's the best way to put it? I have some interest at the bottom of the market. I have some buy orders set. So, I mean, without trying to be any type of like bias, you know, if I were looking at this and this had nothing to, this didn't affect the market in any way, I would say, hmm, I would be inclined to say that, we go higher because look, came down, fell below support, came up, retested, rejected, came back up, retested, rejected correctly into the upward direction, came down, had a little deviation, came back up. And so this particular candle on the daily is going to be interesting to watch. So see what happens when I shrink it down to the 4 hour. Okay, so yeah, this 4 hour candle, as a matter of fact, is going to be the one to watch here. So, okay, we have some positive gains. Oh no, it came up and rejected. Okay, we're going down. So right now is a great time to maybe long some coins. Fill that short on FET. I don't want to mess with that right now. Okay, got ourselves a nice little wedge pattern going on here. Let me see something really quick. Hmm, Bear with me just a few seconds here, man. Just want to see something really fast. 'Cause I don't remember if this particular wedge is meant to be bullish or bearish. Yeah, just be the same wedge. No, same wedge. No, descending wedge. There we go. You know what? Let me see. Is at the end of our uptrend? No. Yes. No. You know what? That could potentially be a bull flag, I suppose. I don't think it would be, but I don't know. If this thing's able to come up and reject and kind of go over here, I might interpret this as a bullish signal. from Bitcoin? Let me see one last time. Or from USDT rather. It's falling away from now. Huh. I hate this. It's a flat bottom. Ah, fuck it. Either way, I want to say this is probably a neutral pattern anyways. It's just showing some tightening. So if we come back up, expect some pain. We come back down, we're just going to play inside that little triangle there. Hmm. Usually I can find some pretty good information on these things, but nothing. I want to make sure I like to dissect these things, man. I guess that'll do for the time being. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the other Z chart as well. Okay, maybe. Huh. So let's say hypothetically that is a bull flag. We will be seeing our technical target for the altcoin market. All right, now let's take a look and see. Last time we were there, what were prices? And I'll use Link as an example because it's one of my favorite coins to trade. So let's see. Last time we were down there. That's when we would drop back down there. So 7.17%. February, god dang. Have we never been that low? Oh, wait, gotta clean that up. I guess really that being said, I mean, shoot, technical targets are just kind of an idea of where you could be heading, not something that's going to happen. So I mean, there's that. Let's look at the weekly real fast so I can kind of make it a little quicker. All right, so last time others.d went that low, it was January of 2021. Huh, interesting. Right smack at the beginning of the bull run. So looking at it like that, the alt market has gotten very weak. And again, this 100% I can blame the amount of newer blockchains that have emerged since our last bull run. So I know everybody likes their Solana, everybody likes their Sui, and everybody likes their, everybody has their favorite. But this will ultimately just kind of reaffirm what I've already suspected. Everybody keeps thinking alt season is going to be this freaking nasty time, but I'm going to say mostly because of Solana, because it is the most popular. Um, like, let me see, what's the word I want to use? It is the most popular alternative to Ethereum. So a lot of people have taken their money to that, but what they fail to realize is this chart. This is truly the chart that gives you your alt season. Ethereum dominates. But without this, you have nothing. Oh man, I caught that fucking shit. Why did I do that? So, in order to have an alt season, ETH needs to be the dominant one, not Solana. So it's an ongoing joke between me and a lot of the guys in Action. Um, alt season win, but I want to buy Ethereum, or I want to buy Solana. You can't have both. It's just not the way it works. Which will bring me into, let's look at some Solana charts. Oh yeah, low, I love it. So we got a lower low, putting in the lower high. You have our drop there. This is already played. Take that out. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we go back to, I'll use your daily so this way you can still kind of see it. If we go back to the previous bull run, so again, prior to Solana, oh my God. Let's go back to 2021. Ah, you bastard. Wait, what chart? Is this on, no, I think this is a Bybit one, that's why. So let's look at a Binance chart. Binance should give us some more data beyond 2023. All right, here we go. So here's the previous bull run for Solana. So 2021. Got your launch. So we're in March. Solana only ever got one big pump last bull run. And again, that was because ETH was the big brother and the father of altcoins, right? So Solana got up to 260.83, had just its one peak, and it was in November, so the meme coin season, right? And then went straight into a bear market. It had its small pump here, which topped off at 224 in September. So I mean, I'm going to call that all part of the one system because if you go back into May, had nothing. I mean, it made its all-time high then, but gotta remember Solana hit $300 this time during this same time period in July because of Trump coin, right? So Solana gets one peak, and I think we've had that one peak for Solana. If we get a second peak, and it would be something that would be if we get a second peak, I would be concerned. Only because it will have marked the death of alt season. So something to be concerned, something to look at, and something to take into consideration when you're looking at what you're wanting from the market. I want alt season, so I endorse Ethereum. So yeah, and right now Solana's looking a little tired, but I wouldn't say it's gassed out. Let's come down to the 4 hour. I'm going to see if there's any type of trend. I want to say that I spotted a trend when I did that call for KG because as you saw that hit really well. Okay, so if I were to trade Solana, I would keep this in mind. Right now, it is still riding an uptrend that started for it back in April. As I'm sure you remember when Solana got very bullish when everything was still bearish back in May. I think Ethereum had just did its thing and fucking went nuts. So what I would look for something with Solana, I would watch for this. So what you'll want to look for is either consolidation here, some chop, and that will give you a move higher, Or this is in fact the lower high, and we come down and we retest support again. Um, at that point, I would literally just wait. I would let a couple of 4 hour candles go, and let it do its thing, right? You want the confirmation on this particular trade. Um, the reason why I say we want this right here to consolidate, if you are a fan of Solana, is because this could potentially just be us sitting right under resistance, which I think we are. If I go through and look, resistance there. I need to find times where it hit and rejected. So once, okay, so that is definitely resistance. That is a strong resistance point. So, however, though, it looks like it's fairly weak though because it's like the majority of the times that it tests it breaks through, whether it's for a short while or for a long while. Well, let's see the shapes. Fucking what's it called? I'm confused. Let's see something really quick. Come on, man, I just want to draw an order block or supply and demand zone. Shapes. Let's see, it's here. Nope. Put it out here. Nope. Aha. Put that in my favorites too. I love using this. So, again, big reason why I would be cautious here is because we got ourselves a nice supply zone right here. Let's get some color in there. You know, let's go green. Oh God, you can't even see that. Okay. Either way, you can see it great. If not, then you can have to use your imagination. Because another reason why I'm cautious of this, because if you look every time it comes up, every time it retests, it's had one successful rejection from the retest. Every other time it comes up, it breaks through, goes over. You get a little bit of a bounce right here up top of anytime it comes back down to this 157.99 range. It breaks back down only to come back up. So right now, Solana itself is very, very choppy. It's not something that I really ever trade. Again, I'm not a fan of Solana. Let me see if there's any divergences worth trading. Got a little bit of Batman action going up there on our side. All right. Clearly higher. Oh, we got ourselves a nice little bearish div. So right now, looks like this scenario is playing out where it is going to reject, and at that point, it would be worth shorting. So if it comes back down, I would look for it to stop downtrending about here. This would be a healthy right there at the 149 level. So if you want to long it, I would look to long there at 148.96. And then I would want to expect another retest of that resistance. So now this could take, I don't know, Shanghai is perfectly capable of doing this. And what you'll want to do is you want to keep really tight stops. So as you can see right here, It's a liquidity tap and also a retest of the breakout. So I would say maybe just a little bit further there, and I would look to long and go up here and just kind of play this range. Again, with Bitcoin dominance and USDT uh, Tether dominance and Bitcoin dominance, doing what they're doing right now, um, they're kind of counteracting each other. So my best guess would be we see some consolidation going on for probably the next week or so if FOMC doesn't take us and all that data has already been priced in. I would look just to see some really solid chop. But I think for Solana, it's more or less just going to play this range. As you can see, it is a fan of doing so. It's done it in the past, and we have been doing it. Even here, this was major resistance at one point, and really was tough for it to break through. We haven't really like ran it through the gauntlet the same way that this upper one has. Let me get rid of that. God dang, I hate it. Maybe I'll just make it small and you can't see it. There we go. Aha, never happened. So I would look to long there, and given its history with these this particular range, I would be hesitant to short because every time it comes down and breaks through, it comes back and re-rises stronger. So let's do this. Mhm. Yeah, we might actually have what's called a bearish megaphone pattern going on. Don't see these too often. We'll just use that for the time being. Ooh, give this some making look silly. Ah, all right, that's what I want to see. Very bullish. So all this time, it's been playing this channel. It had a breakout from the channel. This channel by itself is fairly bullish. So you can kind of see right here where it broke out and retested, went higher, came down, and then some bullshit goes down. Ethan's Ethereum's staking ETFs, hopefully. Yeah, um, I don't think that the staking option is going to be of any significance during a bull run, only because I'd like to hope that smart money understands how staking is supposed to work. There's something you're really supposed to do in the bear market. Ethereum has been slowly converting itself to be a tool for institutions. It's a year. It's a- it's a- Man, that'd be a really long-term swing play right there, baby. An 8 RLIs? Huh. Or we want to look really dangerous, perhaps be even. Set your buys in a little lower right there at that trend line. Keep stops really tight. But if you see this come back down and it breaks through like it has in the past, because even a deviation itself will hit that and gives a nice little 398 RLI. Because again, I'm going to set my stop loss just a little bit past this particular wick. And what I would expect to see. If I do this, there we go. Okay, so if it breaks through this trend line or this line right here, support at 152, and has some pretty solid momentum behind it with Shanghai and Japan open, I would set your buy order for to long it right here at 143.72. I don't think it goes that low, but that would be a really like solid core fundamental for ICT trading. Um, and what you look for is the consequential encroachment. Let's see, which is kind of somewhere in the middle of this particular wick because if you look here, it went from that was the bearish trend. This is the wick, or this is the candle where it went from bullish to bear, or from bearish to bullish. And oftentimes, when you see a retest and you see it happen here, it'll retest that point. Oftentimes, though, it comes back and will fully like settle on this particular candle, and it'll play that whole candle body. Sometimes you'll see it go to the wick, but if it goes to the very end of the wick, we're fine with our stop loss where it's placed because we're going from this candle, right? And yeah, so that would make an excellent buying opportunity right there. And like I said, it lines up well. Excellent, excellent. I like it. And then let's take a look at Ethereum. You know, I need a perp chart. No, yeah, perp chart. I have a spot chart because I only ever buy that coin on the spot market. I never leverage trade it. It's not volatile enough. I only leverage trade its beta coins, for the exception of Aave, only because Aave is my favorite altcoin, and I am biased. So I will always look for bullish scenarios, and if I'm looking for bullish scenarios, I am ignoring the charts. Okay. So Ethereum has a nice upward trend. There we go. So if I were to long Ethereum, it looks like it put in a lower high. This is never a good sign. But I'm not sure if that's a lower high though, because I don't think it's done pumping. Because you see oftentimes with these, they go up, they come down, and they retrace like halfway and they keep their bullish momentum. So like you see that here, right? Um, if that were to happen and we were to get an equal high or even higher high, our next technical target for Ethereum where we want to see some confirmation is right at 3,000. And then from 3,000, I would begin to short, or even if this isn't the move, I would potentially short here and then play the retest again. Stop loss is tight because, again, it has rejected off 2,800 multiple times already. And obviously, the more that that's tested, the weaker it will become. So, assuming that this will begin to retrace at least 40%, we'll be in good shape. If it retests 40 back up to here, then yes, I am bullish. Let's look at FET. Long. Now, if you don't know what FET is, it is an AI agent. So it allows people to rent essentially AI bots. Look at that, look at that fucker. My fault. That moves perfectly today. Right up here, as a matter of fact. So I have my buy order still set stupid low for it. It's like 5,500, like right here. Mm. And I think we give our final leg down for this one on this particular approach. So there's your high, there's your low, there's your lower high, there's your lower low, there's your lower highs again, here's your lower low. Yeah, that's perfect. That's what I want to see, baby. And again, I think we retest that breakout because we didn't properly retest it. So let me see what was my buy order set at. So like I said in the past, sometimes my shit takes 3 to 4 weeks to play out. So my first buy is at 57.22 and 5,500. So 57.22 is, lose that because we want them getting it closer. And then 5,500, 5,550. Okay, so this range right here. So if you look at it, it retested its initial breakout here, right? So there's your rejection off the breakout, and then it created put that this into support. And as you can see, it even retested that support a few times. What it didn't do though, you can see it again right here, where it constantly is all about retesting. On the weekly chart for FET, this will make things very, very clear. And if you actually look at it on higher time frames, it becomes very apparent. So, the example. So you got your breakout, right? This I would call it a thorough retest of its breakout, right? Up here, we break out, come back down, we retest, and we get pretty close to touching tips and sword fighting, right? So that is, I would say, is a very healthy setup. So what we still haven't done is retest this whole area right here. We have a nice little FVG, a fair value gap. On the 1 week, that is the size of our gap, right? So we want to fill somewhere in there. So what I did was I shrunk it down into a 4 hour time frame and then started looking for entries. So depending on what train of thought you follow, I know there's a lot of people who think Ethereum will go back down to 2100. I think so. But if you look here, this has been kind of slowly making its way down to that point. So that right there validates my buy orders. Let's see. Let's look at Link. All right, now Link on the weekly, it has put in a lower high. And I guess you could call this a lower low. I don't know. Hmm. It's or this is a 4 hour rather. Oops. Look at the weekly. Oh, I'm still hungry. All right, so there's our high. Here's our. Oh, here is our higher low. You know what? Let's look for a good long entry here, man. Shoot, it's been a while. What's our trigger link? I don't think it's playing on a divergence right now either in the lower time frame. Hmm. Could be going, no, shouldn't be. Below. Okay, that is a lower high on the 4 hours. So 4 hour chart's looking kind of bearish. Because there's a low, there's a high, there's a low, higher high, came back down. It would have held here, it would have been fine, but we didn't. So we created a lower low and possibly a lower high. So when I was looking, weekly chart out again. Let's look for some untapped zones here. No, we're not going down. Yep. Every zone tested. Every zone tested here. Hmm. And we could be playing out the rest of this chart, to be fair. The rest of this candle. No, 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 we're not. I think we had our move right there. 1262 just a few weeks ago. It's time to long this bit. So let's swing down to the daily and then we'll go up down to the hourly. If you have a coin you want to look at, man, I'm just basically re-looking at coins I always look at. By all means, please let me know. Hmm. So we must have our new range there. There we go. There's our range that we're going to play. So we're going to see this. 13, 16, 1. Set up a long here. All right, so the only thing that will kill this trade will be FOMC initial reaction. I don't think it does though. Let's clean this up. That's gonna give us a deviation. I like that. There we go. That's the range that I want to take out. Let's do something like that. One second, come on, baby. 0, 0, 0, 0, one more. You bastard! I got cut. Mm-hmm. Why did I get bored? Let's look at some sui. Okay. Hey, that's where we fucking lift up. 278.70. That's where we're gonna fucking get along on sui. Gonna be stop loss is gonna be kind of wide. Hmm. So I think about retesting previous range high. Oh man. Hmm. All things considering, even with all the Bitcoin volatility, sui's held up very strong. Yeah, make me feel good about this. Yes. Bigger wicks, bigger wicks. Okay, so it's just clash against resistance. So this on bitch is about to come down. Hmm. Let's watch what it does. See if it continues to fall. Is there anything in particular that you're wanting looked at? Now is the time to ask. Oh, my original entry. God damn it. Let's see. There we go. There we go. What I want to see. Mhm. You bitch. I hate you. Hate you so much that. There. And I will need to go higher. Let's shrink this down. So that, or I would want to potentially. That's right. I've already thought about this one. The bottom one, that's bear market prices. Or I would look for this potential entry. Like, I'm not sold that this will be a strong enough supply zone or demand zone for dot. Let's see. Where the heck was, why did I settle on that? Aha. Kind of fucked up while I'm looking at this one, but when it launched, it never fully retested its breakout from here. It's fucked up that I'm trading that. Because I mean, if you ever see a $2, anything lower than 292, or a initial starting point, you see a coin find that, that's usually your cue that it is dead. I don't think Polkadot is dead. You know what though? What I'll probably do is I'll probably wait before I make any real decision on dot. I just feel like every time I have the perfect setup, it goes lower. So that's why I would be hesitant to look at this one, but more so focus on this one. I think that was just looking at technical targets, but at the same time, though, I don't think I fully understood what the technical target should be. Or is that a cup and handle? Oh my God. That's exactly what that is. It's a fucking cup and handle. Okay, so a 5% move will be my trigger. Okay, so if it gets down to, okay, so like, this gun is very important. If I see it get down to that 6926 level and reject, that is my long trigger. But I need to see it reject. I don't want to just long things because I think it looks like something. Like when this was first formed, I assumed bear flag, but no. Okay. What was that? Was that scanning there? Was it AIXBP? Oh, that's what it was. The dude killed himself. This is the first one I ever actually analyzed. Look how naive I was. Oh my God, I thought I was gonna get a cup and handle pattern. But fuck, I called the bottom and I called this move right there. That was kind of cool. Manipulation of this thing. Oh shit. Why did I ever try to trade that? Now it's the most bullish point in the market here. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, look at that. Went from bear structure to bullish right there at 42. Went up and made a new all-time high at 45. Hmm. Got a lot to think about here. Or drive. Mhm. Fuck it. I think that's gonna do it for me. I can't think of anything else to chart really. Stay up, players.